You probably thought the Blacklist's biggest twist came in the final season. But what if the show told us the truth all the way back in season 1? From cryptic dialogue to subtle camera cues to one overlooked symbol, the Blacklist planted its biggest reveal right under our noses. And most fans missed it. If you like untangling movie mysteries and spotting hidden clues, hit that like button and subscribe. We break down the details that most people overlook in films. Now let's dive in. In the final seasons of The Blacklist, the show confirms what many fans had long suspected. The man we've known as Raymond Red Reddington is not actually Raymond Reddington at all. That identity twist is massive. The real Raymond Reddington, the naval officer, the husband, the father, died years ago. The man posing as him throughout the series is someone else entirely. And while the show never outright says it, the strongest theory, heavily supported by visual clues, dialogue, and symbolism, is that this version of Red is actually Katerina Rostova, Liz Keene's mother, who faked her own death, assumed Reddington's identity, and built a new empire to protect her daughter. For casual viewers, this reveal hit like a shock. But for longtime fans, it was the culmination of a mystery that began way back in season 1. In fact, many of the most important clues were dropped early on, hidden in throwaway lines, cryptic behavior, and strange emotional choices. Most of us missed them the first time around. But rewatching now, they're impossible to ignore. Let's go back to where it all started, season 1, and look at how the Blacklist quietly told us the truth from the very beginning. The first major clue that Red isn't who he claims to be comes in season 1, episode 2. It's a quiet moment, easy to overlook, but in hindsight, it was a direct confession. Red looks Liz in the eye and says, "I'm not who you think I am." At the time, it feels like misdirection, just another layer of mystery in a show built on secrets. But rewatch it now, knowing what we know, and it's not misdirection. It's the truth. From the very beginning, Red is visibly uncomfortable whenever Liz presses him about their connection. He dodges, deflects, or gives vague philosophical responses. For a master manipulator, that kind of emotional hesitation feels out of character, unless there's something deeply personal at stake. His obsession with protecting Liz goes far beyond the logic of a criminal informant protecting an asset. He doesn't just guide her professionally, he watches over her like a parent. He keeps tabs on her adoptive father. He intervenes in her relationships. He even sacrifices global leverage just to keep her safe. And his knowledge of her past is eerily specific. The name of her childhood stuffed animal, the scar on her wrist, the way she used to draw with her left hand but write with her right. These aren't things you learn from surveillance or background checks. They're things you know from being there, from raising someone. Red often anticipates Liz's reactions before she even speaks. He references moments from her early life that she herself has forgotten, and he shows an emotional familiarity with her adoptive parents that goes far beyond secondhand knowledge. He knows details no stranger could possibly know, unless he had been there, unless he had lived it. That one line, "I'm not who you think I am," wasn't just foreshadowing. It was the show telling us everything up front. We just didn't believe it. Because at the time, the idea that Red could be Katerina Rostova seemed too far-fetched. But now, it's the only thing that makes sense. And once you accept that possibility, suddenly season 1 starts to make a lot more sense. What once seemed like cryptic storytelling becomes a trail of carefully placed clues. The Blacklist didn't hold back its biggest reveal for a late-season shock. It planted it early, methodically, using emotional beats, visual symbolism, and character-driven storytelling to show the truth before anyone was ready to believe it. Let's start with one of the clearest examples. Red's box. Throughout the early seasons, this small locked box is his most guarded possession. He protects it with his life, and when it's finally opened, we don't find weapons or blackmail material. We find a photograph of young Liz. That's not the behavior of a criminal mastermind. That's the behavior of a parent clinging to the memory of a child. And it goes far beyond a single prop. Red doesn't just look out for Liz. He inserts himself deeply into her life. He mentors her, shields her from threats, isolates her from allies, and even sabotages her relationships. His protectiveness isn't logical or strategic. It's emotional, desperate, and often irrational. These aren't the moves of a man using Liz. They're the actions of someone trying to keep her safe at all costs. Someone grieving. Someone who once lost her. Then there are the mirror moments, scenes where Red's actions directly reflect things we've been told about Katerina Rostova. Whether it's his ability to manipulate governments, his loyalty to Liz, or his quiet moments of guilt, Red consistently acts more like a mother protecting her daughter than a mob boss managing an asset. His most vulnerable breakdowns always tie back to Liz. Her safety, her trust, her identity. Even more telling are Red's interactions with people from Katerina Rostova's past. Some characters seem to recognize him, not just as Raymond Reddington, but as someone else. And their reactions are too emotionally layered to dismiss as coincidence. Take Dom Wilkinson, Katerina's father. When Dom and Red interact, their conversations carry a tension that goes far beyond criminal history. Dom often speaks to Red with resentment, not fear. He doesn't treat him like an outsider. He treats him like family. In one key moment, Dom accuses Red of becoming the one thing they tried to destroy. That's not something you say to a man you barely know. That's something you say to your daughter. Then there's Ilya Kozlov, Katerina's childhood friend and former KGB associate. Ilya's reaction to Red is emotionally complex. Part loyalty, part guilt, part unresolved pain. In flashbacks, we see how close Ilya was to Katerina. And when confronted with Red, there's no real shock in his demeanor. He doesn't question Red's identity. He seems to already know. Their conversations suggest a long, complicated history. One that only makes sense if Ilya recognizes Red not as a man pretending to be Reddington, but as Katerina herself, transformed. Another moment comes with Dom's caretaker, Oleander, who speaks to Red with warmth and familiarity. Though she never openly acknowledges any revelation, her guarded behavior around Red reflects a knowledge that she's choosing not to voice. It's not fear of Red as a criminal. It's protection of someone she cares for, someone she understands is hiding for a reason. These aren't standard reactions to a fugitive. If Red were just Reddington, people from Katerina's life wouldn't respond with emotion. They'd respond with suspicion, hostility, or confusion. But instead, their behavior is subdued, conflicted, sometimes even compassionate. They're not looking at a stranger. They're looking at someone they knew, someone who vanished and returned in another form. The Blacklist wasn't hiding the truth. It was presenting it emotionally rather than literally, so we'd feel it before we understood it. This is what great storytelling does. It uses what's called the lie told early technique. The writers gave us the truth up front, but disguised it as mystery, misdirection, or sentiment. Red's most repeated line to Liz is, "Everything I've done for you." On the surface, it sounds like a dramatic, mentor-type line. But in hindsight, it's a direct confession. It's a mother in disguise, telling her daughter that every lie, every crime, every sacrifice was for her. And we heard it so many times, we stopped questioning it. That was the trick. We assumed we knew what it meant, but we didn't. The emotional breakdowns, the photo burning, the obsessive protectiveness, these weren't just dramatic moments. They were memories, playing out in real time. The clues weren't in what Red said. They were in how he said it, and why he couldn't say more. When the twist is finally revealed, it's not meant to shock. It's meant to click. Because the truth was always there. We just didn't recognize it. If you're still watching, you're the kind of fan who likes to spot what others miss. Hit subscribe. We've got more Blacklist deep dives coming. For years, fans questioned Red's decisions, why he took so many personal, reckless risks for Elizabeth Keene. His behavior often seemed irrational for a man as calculating and ruthless as Reddington. But once you understand who he truly is, it all starts to make sense. Red repeatedly risks everything: his freedom, his empire, even the success of his entire Blacklist operation, just to protect Liz. He places her above international strategy, above power, above his own safety. That level of sacrifice doesn't track for a criminal informant protecting a random profiler. But it makes perfect sense if he's her mother in disguise, acting out of a deeply personal, emotional bond. Then there's his constant refusal to answer her questions directly. Season after season, Liz asks him the same thing. "Who are you to me?" And every time, Red sidesteps it. He deflects, changes the subject, or speaks in riddles. For a man who outsmarts world leaders, he's suddenly unable, or unwilling, to give her a straight answer. That's not avoidance. That's emotional pain. He can't tell her because he knows the truth would destroy the identity he's worked so hard to protect. And then there's the episode where Red burns the only known photograph of the real Raymond Reddington. It seems reckless. Why destroy a piece of evidence so significant? But in hindsight, it's not a random act. It's symbolic. Red isn't just erasing a man. He's erasing a version of himself he can never return to. Katarina's transformation into Reddington is complete, and that photo is a threat to the lie she's built. Destroying it isn't destruction. It's preservation. All of these strange behaviors, Red's protectiveness, his emotional breakdowns, the photo burning, and his refusal to answer direct questions, felt like dramatic plot devices at the time. But with the twist in mind, they turn into emotional breadcrumbs pointing to the truth: that the man we've known as Raymond Reddington is actually Katarina Rostova in disguise. They weren't random choices. They were deliberate clues. And once you trace them back to the beginning, it becomes clear that the Blacklist was revealing that truth all along. It just did it quietly, through emotion instead of exposition. Now that the series is over, the real fun begins. Going back, rewatching those early episodes, and realizing how every look, every line, and every lie was pointing to the big reveal. What was the first clue you picked up on? Was it the line in episode 2? The photo? The way Red looked at Liz? Drop your favorite season 1 detail in the comments. We'd love to hear your take. And if you love detailed movie breakdowns, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for more. At TV and Film Explained, we don't just recap, we reveal what many people missed. See you next time.